Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Can't Teach Size, a hockey podcast. I'm Liz, joined by Brady, of course, as always. It has been a little bit since
Mhm.
we jumped back on here to chat with everyone. Brady's laughing. We were like, oh, we'll do an episode this week, and that was, last week and whatnot. There was a stretch where we're like, we won't do one. We're both super busy. And then life just kind of got a little bit nuts, and for one particular reason for both of us. Brady and I both recently got jobs with SDPN. That stands for Steve Dangle Podcast Network, right? Like that's
Uh,
always
okay, this is something that always comes up, and whenever I'm like playing Chell with Steve, it's always like it. He always says it doesn't stand for anything, but I think that's a bit. I think legally it
gotta
doesn't
be a
stand.
bit.
I think it legally doesn't stand for anything, but I'm pretty sure it's a bit. It has to be a bit because it. But also at the same time, we shouldn't spread lies about our employer.
Steve Dangle stinks. I hate that guy.
Yeah.
No, but so yeah, we are the two hosts of Game Over Winnipeg. So for those of you who don't know, basically what that is they just have a segment for each Canadian market that does a post-game show after every single game, where we jump on a call for about 30 minutes or so, give or take a little bit, talk about what we just saw, either with each other, by ourselves, with guests, all over the place. A lot of the other markets have a few hosts. They're all so amazing. We have a group chat that's literally on fire all the time.
It's
It's so
insane.
much fun. But Winnipeg is just Brady and I, and it's been like I didn't. Okay, it's not that I didn't think it would be a lot of work. It is a lot of work, and I knew it was going to be a lot of work, and it's a lot of fun work. But it's just a little bit more tiring than I thought it was going to be. I was like,
I
I talk
also
about hockey all the
okay,
time
whoa, whoa,
anyway.
whoa. I also need to point out the fact that we did our first show together and then you abandoned me for like 3 episodes. So you know what? Oh, it's so tiring. I didn't realize it. Well, then I'm over here manning the fort for the first like 4 games while while you're
Okay,
off
but
doing
I
other
found you
stuff.
your guests. I didn't want to leave you high and dry. No, I know. The timing was so
You
poor.
didn't find me my
When we
guest. You
sat down,
helped. Sorry, continue.
the two people that we both would have come up with for one another. Anyways,
Yeah.
no, but it was so funny because when Brady and I were looking to get started, we sat down with our boss Andrew. Shout out Andrew, we stand.
Super
And we're looking
chair.
at these dates, and we're like, oh, this would be a great day to start. And I was like, okay, it sounds good. I'm going to Calgary right afterwards, so I won't be
And
there.
and before then he was trying to get us to start on a weekend where I literally like the one weekend of the year that I'm not in Winnipeg. I'm like in
Brady was in
Toronto.
Toronto. I was hosting a conference, and I was literally like, I don't really drink. I would say, like, if I go to like a party, I usually drive, or I usually just don't feel like drinking. So I would say like maybe like once every couple months or so, or maybe every 6 months, I'll like, go like drink. I wasn't sober for like 5 consecutive days, and I'm just like, oh, do you guys want to start this weekend? I was like, no, no, thank you. It was not the greatest time. And Brady was in Toronto with all the boys, and
Yeah. With Ray
yeah,
Bork hanging out, playing hockey, chilling. But yeah, but it has
Brady
been
would just like text me the names of random hockey men that were there. He'd be like Ray Bork, and I was like, nice,
Wendell Clark, Eric
nice,
Lindros, yeah.
nice.
But yeah, I guess we're back. The schedule on the show will probably be a little more. It might not be exactly every Sunday. Obviously, we're recording on a Monday today, but we're gonna try to keep with it as much as possible and try and fit it in between all the game over stuff. But like I said, I know at least a decent chunk of our fan base is or our audience. I'm not gonna call them fan base. Our audience
Cringe.
is our Jets fans. So go check out the Game Over Winnipeg streams. It's a lot of fun. We've got one tomorrow after the Colorado game, which should be interesting. I'm excited to see how the Jets fare against the reigning Cup champs. I guess this could kind of be our segue into actually talking about hockey instead of our personal lives now.
No one
um,
wants to hear about that crap.
yeah, I mean, so today we basically it's we're kind of like a quarter way through the season. It's a good checkpoint. The old American Thanksgiving is when you kind of get to see what teams are in the playoffs so far. And I think it's some sort of stat like 80% of the teams that are in the playoffs make it, or no, I think it's 80% of the teams that aren't in the playoffs by Thanksgiving won't make it, or it's something the other
Okay,
way around. I don't know. I
I
can't.
feel
I
like that
don't.
about tracks. Like realistically, like looking through patterns of previous years, like I'm sure that's about right.
Yeah. So regardless, we're gonna just kind of do a little bit of a check in all around the league and give our thoughts on the teams and kind of just talk about everything. I actually am. I realize I have my notebook here in front of me that has all of my my preseason rankings that we did at the start of the run of Can't
Oof.
Teach Size. So
Oof.
maybe I'll compare them to there. Do you have yours available by chance?
I should have them on my phone. Yeah. Oh
Uh
boy.
oh. Um,
My New Jersey Devils sitting sixth or whatever in their division is probably enough grounds for me to shut this podcast right down to the
I had
ground.
them.
So
I had them at 5. I'm looking right now. Which hey, but honestly, I don't think anyone had them as high as they are right now. I mean, what was it? A 13, almost 14. It was 13 games, right? That they ended up winning straight.
Did they get to 13 or was it the
No, it
13?
was. They definitely got to 13. I think it was. They were going for 14 against the Leafs, and obviously that lost. They
And
lost.
we know what happened there.
Yeah. Which come on, the Leafs let us have some fun. Like that stinks.
Right? They ruin everything.
For real. Okay, before we jump into this, because I don't really know exactly where we're gonna go with this. We're just flying by the seat of our pants in this episode. We're just gonna talk and see where it
Truly,
goes about
like,
every team.
Absolutely.
Liz, I have a question for you and for everyone at
God.
home. If I were to give you 3 guesses, do you think you could guess who is currently the top of the odds to win the Stanley Cup on Money Puck? Who has the highest percentage? Can you guess? I will give you three chances.
Guess number 1 for me is the Boston Bruins.
They are, I believe, second, so that's a good guess. A good guess, but it is not who we are looking for.
Interesting. Okay. Is it something that's surprising to you?
I'm not going to say anything. I want you just to guess, and then I'll let you know at the end.
I feel like I'm trying to think teams. Like I'm thinking of the standings. Like I don't want to say it's the Devils because we already talked about the Devils, and that would be a given just based on their record. And then I believe the Islanders are second in that division. And I know they've had some hot goaltending, so Money Puck probably wouldn't lean into that too favorably. So I don't think it's them. Vegas? Is it Vegas?
It is not Vegas. Vegas
Oh,
is
boy.
let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on the
Jesus.
list, which is insane considering they're top of their division. But
I was gonna say, aren't they? But their division's also poo. So
yeah. So there's your 2 guesses, and oh, by the way, Boston was second on that list.
okay.
One final guess list, and then I will reveal to you. Do you have a guess?
Let's go with the Dallas Stars. Is it the Dallas Stars?
It is not the Dallas Stars. And actually, the when it comes to the Central here, I'm looking. Oh no, Colorado's higher. Colorado's third, but the Jets do top the Stars in odds to win the Cup based on Money Puck. No, Liz.
So real.
It is the juggernaut, Seattle Kraken. With 11.7% likeliness to win the cup. I was just looking through Money Puck earlier today, and I saw this, and I was like, "Excuse me." I knew they were doing well. They're second in their division, which I don't understand how. They're second in their division, like they're second. I guess they're a couple points, or they have a couple games in hand on the Golden Knights. Yeah, they have 2 games in hand on them, but they're still 4 points back from them. So I don't really get what the deal is there. Maybe it's because they're on a 5-game win streak coming into tonight. So I don't really get that. But hey, Martin Jones. Who could have seen this guy being actually like an effective goalie? Martin Jones, for the longest time now, was one of the like the guys you joke about that is like so bad when it comes to goaltending. Like I actually cannot think.
Devin Dubnyk. Remember when he and Devin Dubnyk were on the same team and we all just like it was perfect. It was perfect.
I liked Devin Dubnyk. I was really sad when he went out. Because I thought he was good. I thought he was good on the Wild, and then I found out the Wild were just good, and he was getting like the Corey Crawford effect. But I digress. So I guess based on this, I guess we can kind of start at the start with the Pacific Division, since we already talked a little bit about the Kraken. I mean, the main things for them is obviously Martin Jones is standing on his head. He's playing really well, but the team all around him is playing really good. And it's like, I feel like last year, at the start of the year, when the Kraken's inaugural season, a lot of the nerds were higher on the Kraken than they ended up being last year.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I think what the issue was last year was that they had absolutely no goaltending. And I'm not saying that Martin Jones is some kind of savior, but I think that he is. I think he's playing well enough, which is all you can really ask for in this league.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course they traded for like who's it? Burakovsky and
Bjorkstrand.
Bjorkstrand. Yeah, like those are two guys who absolutely like definitely affect the fact that they're doing much better this year. They have actual scoring. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say on the Kraken. I'll let you.
I'm pulling up their stats right now because I literally, again, same thing. 3 guesses, whatever gun to my head. Who are their leading scorers? Where are they getting their goals from?
I have no idea. Well, let's take a look.
Matt Beniers, like
Matty Beniers has been good this year. I know that.
Yeah, I know he's at the top of a lot of people's Calder ballots and whatnot at this point. So okay, Burakovsky's at 21 points. Matty Beniers is good for him. He's almost at a point per game pace. But like even still, the Eberleys, Jaden Schwartz, and the Jared McCanns of the world. Vince Dunn has 13 points. Like I'm just reading off names here, but like
Justin
they're
Schultz.
a team of nobodies.
Yeah. It's they're kind of channeling their like Vegas year one misfit toys kind of thing coming into the season. So I'm glad to see it working out in Seattle, especially with the new market. You want to see the team do decent just so that their fan base can kind of really establish themselves. As much as we all hate the Golden Knights, I'm glad they exist and I'm glad they do have a fan base because it is better for the league all in all.
Absolutely.
And, to talk about the Golden Knights, they are, in my opinion, I would say the odds-on favorite in that division to be, to go the furthest in the playoffs, despite what Money Puck thinks.
I disagree.
I
disagree.
Yeah?
I still think we're going to see more regression. I still think Calgary's a better team. I still have faith in them. I'm not ready to give up on them just yet.
Okay, we'll chat about Calgary in a minute. I think we do have to give at least our 2 minutes to the Golden Knights. Jack Eichel is an absolute freak of nature. He's a maniac. Again, same thing. So glad to see this guy, coming back from his injury, coming back from his surgery. He fought for what he wanted. He got what he wanted, got traded to a really good team, is a key piece of that team. And now they're 16-6? Like that, we got to give it to them, especially in a season where like the whole goaltending stuff. Apparently, Logan Thompson is like a god. That is the most frustrating thing for me. It's so funny watching teams because we get a really nice cushy seat having Connor Hellebuck as our goalie forever and ever, amen. And I will not think about the fact that his contract ends in a year and a half. What? It looks like you were about to say something.
No. Go on.
Just bracing for impact.
You could have ended it at "We have Connor Hellebuck forever and ever," and you could have just left it at that.
Yeah. But it's very funny. Then you watch teams like the Leafs who just every year struggle to find their goaltending and this and that, and then you just look at a team like the Golden Knights. You just go, "Oh, this guy we just pulled up from the AHL, and now he's our starting goalie." Obviously, we needed him in a pinch, but like, it's so funny seeing the difference between that and like the Eric Shalgrens of the world, who come up through the Leaf system and just get absolutely shelled when they have to play big minutes.
So real. I think that the Vegas Golden Knights are just like, I just love that organization. Like I hate the team. They're so
except for Mark Stone and Jack Eichel. Those two I love, but other than that, I agree.
I like some of their players. I like some of their staff. I like some of their paraphernalia, whatever. I just hate the team. I can't tell you what about the team I hate. It's just I hate 2018. That's what I hate. But whatever.
What they stand for.
I'm bitter. I'm mad.
Oh, I get it.
We're all still mad. I remember I used to beef with Oilers fans for being like, oh, like 2016 playoffs or whatever year it was. I was like, oh my god, guys, that's so long ago. But here I am screaming about the 2017-18 playoffs when we literally still have like 2 of the same players on the roster. But you know what? It's fine. Whatever. I don't care. But the Vegas Golden Knights are a well-run hockey team. I was so happy when they pulled in Bruce Cassidy. Happy as in like oh, good, a good coach is going to a good team kind of thing. Not that, oh, a team I hate is about to be really fantastic because they're bringing in someone really good. But I think he gets a lot of credit for a lot of the success they're seeing. And like you said, like the Logan Thompsons of the world, like I am a firm believer that teams just need lots of good pieces and the rest of it will come. Like for example, the Winnipeg Jets, like they have a good goaltender and now that they seem to have a good coach and so it's like the rest of the pieces kind of fall in place. Like so if goaltending is the only thing you're missing, look at like Colorado Avalanche for example. Like their goaltending last year was not Vezina caliber by any means, but it's like if you have all of the other pieces, you can make do with passable goaltending, and that's exactly what they did. They didn't just make do; they saw, the epitome of success all through the regular season and through the playoffs, right? So I think that Logan Thompson. I'm not trying to shit on him or anything over here, but I guess I kind of am. But I think it's a testament of how good that hockey team is.
I have to call you out for constantly just shitting on Darcy Kemp for any chance you get. I was listening to your show with Murat. You had to pull it out there, being like, he's the worst goalie who's won the cup in years. And
Am I wrong?
You pulled it. I mean, like, I don't. But the thing is, I don't think he's a bad goalie. I don't think he's a bad goalie whatsoever. But I actually, for a long time, thought he was a very underrated goalie. But
yeah, me too. But then I decided he's overrated, and now I'll die on that hill. So
that's fair. Yeah. I mean, what else is there to say about the Golden Knights? We can move on from them, but like, I think the most interesting teams to look at in the Pacific are the two right in the smack middle. You got your Battle of Alberta, Oilers and Flames. Which one do you want to tackle first? Would you say?
And death is not an option. No. Well, I think let's talk about the Oilers. I mean, I've seen some tweets from actual Oilers fans, and they'll say it, not me, right? How are we in year 7 of Connor McDavid and this team is sitting at 500? Like, it's embarrassing. Like, I hate the Oilers. I'm glad they suck. But, like, man, oh man, they should be a better team than they are right now.
Jack Campbell. It's all I have to say.
Enough.
Man, what, again, with the whole goaltending, it's just crazy. It's like, I think actually instead of saying the Leafs and their backup shenanigans, I think the Oilers are the epitome of, oh my God, Jesus Christ, just get a goddamn goalie. Like, just
no, absolutely, like, they are.
Like, just imagine, like, basically, the Oilers could be exactly what the Jets want to be, which is just like good goaltender, guys who can score. We don't do everything great, but we can rely on good goaltending, and our guys will score. And the Oilers have the guys who can score. They certainly do. So, like, I don't even know what to say. Like, I will say though, my prediction of Stuart Skinner is going to be the starter there by the end of the year is actually looking not too bad. Although he hasn't been fantastic this year either. But yeah, it's.
No, but it's. I was shitting on Darcy Kemper before, and I'll shit on Jack Campbell now. I was saying the same thing last year. When you have a team that's so good, they have good coaching, they have good forwards, they have good depth. They can make do with passable goaltending, and that's exactly what they did. And everyone's like, oh, they're a good team, therefore their goalie must be good. That's not always the case, and that wasn't the case last year with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Jack Campbell, I don't think is that good. There's a reason that he was, mid-20s and had never really been a solid starter. He's not one right now, I don't think. So I feel vindicated by this one for sure.
That's fair. And then we move on to the Flames, which is a team that I am just sad. I'm sad to see them in, what is it, 5th place right now. I think they're going to figure it out and get rolling again, because they started the season pretty hot. But obviously any year with a decent amount of turnover, especially on the top end of your roster, you do have to take some time to figure it out. Coach has to take some time to figure it out. I think their issue, I could be wrong, I'm actually going to bring this up. I feel like Markstrom hasn't been great this year. I think that Dan Vladar's kind of taken a bit of the net from them, which is really weird to see, because I would consider Markstrom one of the better goalies in this league.
I agree.
I could be wrong on that. I'm not even going to pull up the actual answer because whatever. I can't find it.
Because you're probably wrong and you don't want to be.
Yeah. And I don't
No, I agree though. I agree.
But like, yeah. And so I don't know. It's a very weird year, because like they're getting a lot of scoring from like some other players who are stepping up. Like there's like this Adam Rudzika, or I can't remember how to pronounce his name, but he's been on absolute heater ever since he kind of got moved up into the top 6. The only reason I know that is because I watched like 2 Flames games and then added him on my fantasy team because I thought he looked good.
Real.
And he's been doing well for me. But yeah, I mean, like but the thing is, like with the Pacific, like the Pacific's still pretty tight. Like other than the Golden Knights, who are sitting at what 35 points now. Oh, it looks like it's updated. They got another win tonight. It looks like, which is fantastic or something. Yeah, it looks like it. I don't know.
Whatever.
Excuse me. Yeah, like other than that, like the points are sitting at like Kraken have 29, the Kings have 27, and then the Oilers and Flames are sitting at 22 and 21 respectively. So it's like, I don't know. I still think that the Flames can pop up, and same with the Oilers. Like they should be both in, at least one of those teams should be in the top 3 in that division. Like it doesn't make sense to me that either of those teams could potentially miss out of the playoffs. Or like I get, if they get in as a wild card, it is what it is. But like, I don't know. I would say that I don't know. I'm looking at the Central right now, and the teams that would be in the wild card are the Wild and the Blues, and I don't really know who.
I think there's going to be a lot of movement in the Western Conference between now and playoff time. So
I think
but I do think they both end up in the playoffs.
I think the Western Conference is kind of pretty unremarkable. Like there's not a lot of standout teams where you're like, they're a juggernaut, they're going crazy.
There is Jason Robertson, there is Jack Eichel, and then there's the rest.
And Connor Hellebuck.
Real.
All right, let's finish off the Pacific with a little bit of talk about the Canucks. I mean, unless you have anything you want to talk about the Sharks and Ducks.
They're bad.
They are what we thought they were. And other than the Sharks, shout out Erik Karlsson. That guy's playing like crazy. It's a fantastic year when you see people talking about Erik Karlsson trades, and like not in like a cap dump way, but in like a I think he can help our team way. He's one of the most dynamic he was one of the most dynamic defense, and it's very, very good to see him having a bit of a resurgence this year. So shout out to him.
Everyone likes Erik Karlsson too. Like everyone wants him to do well.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I feel like when teams trade stars, people get bitter towards them, and like Ottawa Senators fans are some of the most annoying people on the internet, and they're not even bitter towards him, right? Which just I think is an indictment of like everyone likes Erik Karlsson. Like everyone wants him to do well. It's good for the league, man. So I'm pumped about it.
And with him, it's like I don't think that he forced his way out there. I think that was like Eugene Melnyk wouldn't pay him kind of thing, and he was like, well, I guess I will go where someone will pay me money. And then, so anyways, last thing, Canucks, obviously we kind of talked about them prior. They could not hold a lead to save their life at the start of the season. They've kind of, they're floating now. They're doing okay. They're like what, 9, 10 and 3. Again, 21 points. They're tied with the Flames, which I don't know if that means that, the Canucks have really figured it out, or the Flames really need to figure it out. I think it's probably the latter. But the one thing that I have to say that's remarkable about the Canucks, there's 2 things. Oh my God, Bo Horvat is like second or third in the league in goals. I have to bring it up to be sure. Give me a moment. Stall. the other thing,
Bo Horvat, play.
The other thing I need to mention as I bring this up is Spencer Martin is stealing the crease from Thatcher Demko, which is a sentence I never thought I would ever say, especially not like now, like especially coming off of the postseason last year, like. Not last year, the year before, when Demko's been a solid goalie for a while now in the NHL, and Spencer Martin, wasn't he a guy who they like called up on an emergency basis, and then he played well, and they were like, let's give this guy a contract? I could be wrong on that, but I feel like
no, that sounds about right.
Like I think he was like a UBC guy, and then they were like, well, he's pretty good, so. Yeah.
He plays U Sport in Canada, and then he's playing in the NHL. You've done something wrong.
Again, I could be wrong on that. I could be wrong, but maybe that's just how unremarkable his name is. But but okay, this is what I wanted to say. If I told you that a quarter way through the season, Bo Horvat would have more goals than Connor McDavid and would be second in the league in goals, what would your reaction be? Like, that's bananas.
Be like,
Like,
oh, that must mean that the Vancouver Canucks are pretty good, right? And you'd be like,
you'd think, eh? But yeah, so like it's crazy. It's in 22 games, he's got 17 goals. That guy is an animal. He's going to get absolutely paid in the offseason, and whoever trades for him at the deadline, assuming he gets moved. I assume so. Like that's like what even are the Canucks going to do? Like I would love to chat with some of the Game Over Vancouver people on what they actually think, what the course is here for the next like couple of years, because it doesn't make any sense.
Giving Philadelphia Flyers. It's like, what's going on ever? Like,
yeah,
forwards, backwards, now, here, anything? No idea.
Yeah, who's to say what the plan is there? Because again, nothing lines up with that JT Miller contract, and that's what's really throwing me for a loop.
Real, yeah.
But anyways, I digress. All right, let's move over to.
I mean,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say that's the Pacific, man. Like you were saying before, the Western Conference is just kind of uninspiring. Like other than the points we mentioned before, the two J names, because everyone loves a good J name with, got some good Jack Eichel and Jason Robertson going on. Other than that, it's just kind of mush. But to talk about the Central Division a little bit, sitting at the top right now, the Dallas Stars. Fraudulent, maybe a little, but Jason Robertson rocks. I'm not going to sit here and be like, points are everything, but this dude is just on a heater, man.
I don't think it's fraudulent as much as Jason Robertson is scoring the lights out right now. He's sitting at 19 goals in 23 games.
Points, I feel like.
He's sitting at 36 points. He's leading the league in goals, and he is leading the league in points as well too. Which again, going back to my rant about him not being signed. Oh my God, he should have.
Really, almost didn't pay him.
Yeah, like what? Holy shit! Like his he as soon as he put pen to paper, he was underpaid. But I also won't cry for millionaires.
Real.
But yeah, as far as the Stars go, I don't think it's fraudulent. They kind of have a bit of their makeup is very similar to the Jets. I find they have some aging scoring pieces. They've got some newer guys up top, Rupe Hintz and Jason Robertson, who are kind of, I would say kind of comparable to your Kyle Connor and Nikolai Ehlers kind of guys, playing with a Joe Pavelski, who is a better version of Blake Wheeler, I would say. And then you still have Tyler Seguin, who is, having a good year as well too. They have I think they have kind of what the Jets are also kind of looking to build their team as. And again, sorry, that caps off with, Jake Ottinger being a force again. That guy is going to be a Vezina candidate for years to come, I'm sure. But yeah, I don't think that this is fraudulent. I think last year, the Stars just took a bit went a bit off course, and I think this is just a correction to that. I don't know. I think they're for real. They look like a better team, and I think they look better under Pete DeBoer, which also makes me a little worried considering we have their old coach.
We got the guy, yeah. No, for real. Well, no, I think that, and Rick Bowness, I think, is, someone who's been around the block quite a few times, so he comes in and knows how to, manage a situation, but I don't think he's the guy who leads a team to, their absolute very best. I think he's a little bit more of a fixer than he is whatever. So I think that, he's more along the lines of what the Jets needed, but right now, but not in the long term, and he's not what Dallas needed long term in order to get them to the capacity that they needed to be at. So I don't know. I always think that every team is a little bit fraudulent. When we get to the East, I'll talk about New Jersey. Obviously, I always think that any team that's really good, there's probably something going on there, because I'm a pessimist and I hate everything. So but looking at that Central Division, obviously, other than the obvious of Colorado still being a fantastic team, I think they're far and away one of the better teams in that division.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And Colorado started off a bit slow, but but boy, oh boy, they've really turned it on as of late. They're sitting at 25 points in 19 games. They're in third right now, but again, they're only a game behind the Jets, and they play.
Just hanging out till it matters, right? Like they know they're a good enough team. Like it's not like it's do or die or anything right now.
It reminds me very much of Tampa in the sense of that they were like
very much.
Like I think they went into the second year that they won the cup as like the third seed in the Atlantic, and they were just like, okay, cool.
So yeah, exactly. That's 100%.
It doesn't matter. We have to play one of the four insane teams in the Atlantic, no matter what, kind of thing. So
right, no, totally.
So I don't think that the Avalanche are panicking, and they retooled. They obviously lost Kadri, but getting guys like Evan Rodriguez. Who else did they get? Alex Newhook's really stepping up this year. So
and they got rid of Jack Johnson, so there's always that.
Yeah. Oh man, and Bowen Byram looks fantastic. Now again, I'm glad to see a guy who we were kind of scared might have his career derailed by concussions. He's looking a lot better now. So very happy to see that. But yeah, like looking at the Central, I guess we do have to talk quickly about the Jets. We'll keep it short. Fraudulent? Question mark?
Yes. Fraudulent, yes. I don't think they're the real deal yet. Like I don't know what it's gonna take for me to think that they are, because the thing is, it's like Josh Morrissey, real deal. Connor Hellebuyck, real deal. I think it's just their scoring, their 5-on-5 scoring, that's not enough for me to think that this team is sustainable going forward. Because if Kyle Connor can't score 40 goals in a season, like what are we doing here? Like I think that
he's been hot as of late though. Like he's been good recently. That was one thing you mentioned with Murat on the show. Recently, he scored like a bunch of goals recently. I swear he's good. But like, yeah, like my main takeaway with the Jets is I'm not convinced on the offensive side of things that they can get things done. And that is not for lack of talent. And again, this is all being said while Nick Ehlers is still hurt. We should get him back in about a month and a half. I think it was like 6 weeks or so for his surgery. But if it's longer, so be it. That's fine. I'd rather him get healthy. But I think at least with the Jets, a foundation has been laid down that is covering up the bodies that were buried in the ground from the Paul Maurice era. Occasionally, one of those hands creeps its way out through the cement and mud and pulls out and is, saying hi to everyone. But I think
this is a really deep metaphor you're going into right now.
But I think that like just looking at it, I think that there is reason to be excited as a Jets fan, which, is nice to say for once. And yeah, like it's hard to not look at the season Josh Morrissey's having and the season Connor Hellebuyck's having and going, we still have a guy in our top six, arguably our best forward, who has been injured all year. And we're only starting to get offensive contributions from these guys. And our bottom six is absolutely rolling now.
Well, yeah, that's the thing to me, is where you look at like all the things that were bigger question marks going into the season: defense, bottom six, coaching. Those things all seem to be panning out, right? So it's like, and Connor Hellebuyck wasn't worried about that, and still I'm not worried about that. And yeah, it's just the 5-on-5 scoring from the top half of the lineup, right? And I still think it'll come, and as soon as it does really come consistently, I know you said that they've been scoring lately, and I get it, yes, they have. But to me, it's not enough yet. To me, it's been, the chunk of the season, it's been too slow at the beginning. Like, Mark Scheifele has been good, and I'm happy with that. If he can continue, Kyle Connor can continue at this pace and hopefully start scoring some more. And Pierre-Luc Dubois, Cole Perfetti, they can figure it out a little bit. That's when I'll start to believe that this team is the real deal. But until they can figure it out, their puck movement slow. They're I don't like it.
I think the fundamentals are still needing to be worked on, but I think that's coming. So, and regardless, and I also just look at the past and how Chevy's acted in the past when it came to coming to the trade deadline. And this is a year where I think that while we are all yelling right now that we need, help in our middle six, I think that eventually we're going to get to that point where Chevy looks and goes, okay, I owe it to this team who has played better than their expectations, have put the work in to come and actually, give them some help, because I think that the Jets have earned some help down in the middle of the lineup. And like, even just looking at last year, I know I said we'd keep this short, but of course we can't, because it's the Jets.
The Jets, come on. It's us. It's the Jets. What do you think is going to happen?
But like, even looking at last year where he did this half-ass, half sell, half buy, like if the Jets coming in even into the trade deadline in third place in the Central, like I totally, absolutely 100% see the Jets as a team that is buying. I don't know who it'll be. I hope it's a player like Connor Garland or like Sam Reinhart. If either of those guys are available, excuse me, sorry. But yeah, like I don't know. I see the tea leaves, and I think the fundamentals are there. I think you still need to roll out and figure out exactly, iron out all the edges and make sure everything's good. But I'm optimistic. Again, at the start of the year, we were cautiously optimistic that they would be fourth place, and now I'm cautiously optimistic that they'll be like third, maybe second. Who knows?
Yeah. I do think that as the season, like you said, we've gotten to this American Thanksgiving checkpoint is usually a little bit of a better indicator of things. And I think that if you look at, standings right now compared to 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, like things are starting to look more like, in my opinion, how they should. St. Louis is starting to creep back up a little bit. Minnesota is starting to creep, Chicago is sinking back down, because things were really weird at the beginning of the season, right? And I think that the Central as a whole is looking more like it probably will at the end of the season. I think that with the way things are going right now, the Winnipeg Jets are a playoff team, and I think that Dallas Stars, Colorado Avalanche, they finish up top, and then after that, it's whoever makes the most of the next, 2/3, 3/4 of the season, right?
Yeah, I think we should. That's a good segue to get us off the Jets to talk a little bit about the Wild or the Blues, because I think that they kind of fit in the same underperforming and not as good as expected, but kind of starting to figure it out. The Wild have had some injuries, so I know Fleury's been out for the past little bit, and even before then, he was kind of playing like dog shit.
And he has more power play points than Alexis Lafreniere.
Which is hilarious. Who tweeted that? Was a good tweet.
No, but the best tweet is the response. Oh yeah, but who has more playing time? Fleury gets the whole 2 minutes, and then Jay Fresh. Pardon my French. I don't like swearing all the time, but the tweet was so funny. He's like, "This argument is so hilarious because have you considered the fact that he's a fucking goalie?"
Oh, Jay Fresh, what a
Anyways.
guy. But yeah, so like, again, looking at it, Kaprizov, I don't know which is the proper. I usually say Kaprizov, is an animal. He's kind of their Jason Robertson of like him and his merry men.
True.
On the Wild, and yeah, so like I see them continuing down this path. Like fourth is exactly where I see them in the division. I think the Blues maybe are going to, give them a bit more of a run than they'd expect. After their really bad losing streak, they kind of stormed back, and I feel like they went on a decent streak. Like I think in their last 10 games, they're 7-3. So that indicates that the Blues have figured out what the fuck was going on wrong. So yeah, so like I see that shaking out as like, I think that this is the wild card spots, the 4 and 5 with the Wild and Blues. I think that's kind of like a block. I think the top 3 will stay intact. I hope the Jets don't fall past 3. That would stink. I also think that a Jets Stars first round series would be insane.
It'd be nuts.
Dude,
it would be so bad.
Jets Stars games are always so fun. But
they're always a whooping though. I feel like they're never close, but it's always by a different team. It's on that given day you just pick one out of a hat that's gonna crush the other, and it's like it's always ugly.
I want to say a quick I was right when it comes to the Predators. I did not believe that Ryan Johansson and Matt Duchene were going to score 40 goals again this year. And hey, it looks like they won't. It looks like Roman Josi also isn't scoring almost 100 points as a defenseman also. Oh, who could have guessed that that wasn't sustainable?
I guess regression is real.
Exactly, and it sucks. I'm a big fan of Saros, and I want him to be better, but I also don't like the Predators that much. They are a stinky yellow putrid team, and I don't like them in that sense. But I do like UC Saros, and I wish that he was on a better team. That's all I have to say about the Predators. They are so boring to me. I think
they
that
are boring.
if you I think if anyone tunes into like a Predators and then let's just pick one random team from the Pacific, a Predators Canucks game, I think you're a masochist. If you're not a fan of either of those teams, like sounds so awful.
Yeah,
the Predators are just boring. That's all I have to say about them.
Yeah, there's not much of a storyline there. I think, yeah, they're poo. Yeah. Speaking of poo.
I mean, you're not wrong. I know where you're
going. The Coyotes and the Chicago Blackhawks. Those are the other two left in the division that we haven't talked about. They suck. We were watching the Jets game last night, right? And it was final score 7-2 for the Jets, and we're all pumped. But it's like the Blackhawks are so bad. Like, they are horrendous. What a terrible hockey team. And Arizona Coyotes also just bad. So yeah.
I don't understand how Peter Mrazek has a contract in this league. That man has never located where his posts are. Not a single time.
Imagine letting Saku Maenalainen score 2 goals on you in one game.
The second Saku Maenalainen goal, for those who didn't see it, he comes in from on the left wall, cuts in at like under the face-off dot, and he's a left-handed shot, which means like his stick is even closer to the goal line, and he somehow shoots over the glove, so like across and over the glove of Peter Mrazek, top corner. It was a great shot, but oh my God, Peter Mrazek is so bad. He has no idea where his net is. He has no idea where his posts are. I don't understand how he has a contract. Maybe specifically so that you can tank for Connor Bedard, but I digress. That's neither here nor there. Actually, I think he's still on the contract that the Leafs signed him to, which is hilarious. But yeah, the Blackhawks exists purely to be bad, as they should.
Everyone loves
that organization. And the Coyotes, again, stink. Who else could have seen it? But also at the same time, they're having a better season than expected. Like they are, never mind. I was gonna go to bat for them, but no, never mind. They're 7-10-3 and have 17 points in 20 games. They're not even 500. Fuck those guys. Okay, we can move on from the from the Central. Okay, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the Atlantic, where the Bruins are absolutely punching faces, or the Devils in the Metro? I guess we kind of already talked a bit of Devils. The
entire Eastern Conference is just mayhem, and it's amazing.
It's insane the difference between the East and the West. Like,
I remember like 5-6 years ago when all those you had the strong LAs and the Chicagos and whoever they're good. Yeah. It was like the Western Conference was all about that playoff hockey, right? Like they were hard hitting, and even like San Jose Sharks were super good for like so long, and now it's just like a conference of nothing. Like it's just
guys.
All the stars are in the East, all the good teams are in the East. It's just
all the guys who are going to get traded are in the West.
Literally, oh my God, yeah, trade block.
I'm gonna make the exact. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
You were gonna say to talk about the Metro, weren't you?
Yeah, I was gonna say the Metro because we already kind of touched on the Devils, but
yeah, like I feel like there isn't much more that needs to be said about them, right? Like they proved us all wrong. They're like, screw you, we rock, and we're gonna show you, and we're gonna continue to win games until you believe us. And I have no choice but to start to believe them.
I loved the
I still think they're fraudulent, but
I don't think they are. They have incredibly good underlying numbers, and also they've got some swagger. I loved I think everyone already mentioned it. We're pretty late on this because again we took a bit of a hiatus. But that Jack Hughes clip where they're like, "What could you guys improve here?" And he's like, "I don't know. We're on a 9-game heater. What? Like what? What do you mean? We're playing pretty good." Like that's what you love to see. You love to see guys who are just enjoying it and having fun, and like. He's got they've got confidence. They're a good team. When we talk eventually about the Capitals, which we'll get down the list a little bit, but man, both of the goalies they let go last season are doing pretty good this season. Samsonov with the Leafs, and Vanacek, who they paid a second for last year and then just let go.
What a weird, that whole management with Seattle and that whole thing was super bizarre from Washington's part. But
It was
that was, I think, everyone's big question mark with the New Jersey Devils was goaltending, right? Like we knew they had a lot of good pieces, and it was like, but Mackenzie Blackwood is question mark, question mark, question mark, right? Like you never know what's gonna go on with that guy. Like he has the potential to be good, but he's hurt. Sometimes he's bad. Sometimes he's who knows.
Sometimes he's unvaccinated.
He's always unvaccinated.
Sorry.
But yeah, no, it's just like you never really know how goaltending is going to affect a team, and I by no means do I think that their goaltending is the reason they're doing as well as they are. Their forwards are all contributing. Jesper Bratt is worth mentioning by name because he's just going nuts.
Yeah.
And Nico Hischier is doing better. I'm happy for him because a lot of people are talking about how underwhelming he was and all these things, and you feel bad for the guy. Like he's a nice kid, and but he was a first round draft pick, and everyone's like, if you're not scoring 100 points as a first round draft pick, what are you doing, kind of thing. And I think he's really coming into his own as more of a like a disciplined two-way kind of game player who's a really good anchor on a line to help kind of solidify your top six. Like I think he's doing fantastic. I the only reason I think they're fraudulent is because I don't think any team is 13-0 good. But like I do think that they're genuinely a very good team, and I think that they're going to continue to showcase.
I think that their pace will definitely slow down. I don't think they're going to be, I don't think they're a 19 wins to 19-4 win ratio. I can't do that math. Like 5-1 win ratio. I don't think that that's them, but I definitely think it could be a 4-1 or a 3-1. Like I think that they are like a genuinely good team, and now they have goaltending, they've got scoring. It's also worth mentioning that like Andre Palat, their offseason signing, is still injured and has been injured for like a couple months now. That's a guy who, if the Devils the Devils could actually like do really, really good in the playoffs. Like they have the type of players you need to excel in the playoffs. They've got good defense core. They've got good goalie. They've got scores. They've got guys like Andre Palat and who else? They've oh my God, I'm blanking now. Anyway, it's not the point. That's a team who I'm glad to see that we figured out who they are. And for all the teams that we look at and go, maybe this year they'll figure it out. I'm glad to see that they have. But to move on, I don't think, unless you have anything else you want to say on the Devils, the Islanders are in second place there. Man, it's crazy what happens when you don't start your season on like a 17 game road trip.
So bad.
They're 15-8. They've got 30 points in 23 games. They're looking good. Like they look a lot more like the classic Islanders that you see, where you're like, I don't really understand how they're good. But they are playing good team defense. They've got a good goalie. Ilya Sorokin is like.
I was gonna say Sorokin is worth mentioning, and that he's for that second place.
He's good. No, he's fucking good. Anyways, but yeah, so like that's a team. I don't really have much to say on them. Barzal.
They're also still kind of boring, man. Like I boring doesn't necessarily mean bad, and I don't know what much to say about them. Maybe it's just because I don't watch enough of them because of the market, and But yeah, They're their goalie is good, and they have a lot of good pieces. And like you said, a pretty solid team game, right?
Yeah, and I think that's at their core what they are, and they have an identity too. So like I don't know, that's a team where every year I always pick them to be much worse than they are, and they always come out and they're always better than you think that they would be. I had them at 7th in the division, so good for me. Anyways, we can move on to who I had first in the division. Can you guess? It was the Carolina Hurricanes.
They're fine.
They're a fun team. I like that they're
okay.
I don't know what was going on with their goaltending and why we had against the Jets it was Kochetkov. Maybe I know that they have some injuries going on. They also like re-signed him for a couple years. I assume Antti Ranta's hurt just because he's always hurt. But Freddie, I don't know. Is he hurt too? I don't know.
Also always hurt.
Also always hurt. Yeah. So I don't really know. It is what it is.
Brent Burns, good.
Yeah, and like that's a team that has like again, we talked about an identity, and they're a team that like adding Brent Burns is like it exactly fits them. Like so,
Absolutely, yeah.
and and Max Pacioretty is I think skating already. I could be wrong when
Oh, is he?
I
Oh,
think so. I
cool.
think he's progressing pretty well. So that is
Nice.
another guy to look out for on that team to come in and play again. I it's crazy to think that like as I'm looking at the Metro, the Penguins and the Rangers are in fourth and fifth, and those are two teams that are like really good. You know, like I don't know. I don't have anything else to say on the Hurricanes, so I'm going to scooch it forward, especially since we're going a little long already. Um, yeah, Penguins perennially good. Again, they've got the right mentality of with Sid and Gino, we're going to go for it every single year that we can, and
Absolutely.
it's good to see.
Absolutely.
It's good to see we having them all re-sign all their guys in the offseason, get Raquel back, and they're really pushing through. So I'm very happy for the Penguins that they're doing pretty well. I don't really have much else to say, but it's the goddamn Penguins. What else can you say?
Absolutely, yeah. They were so hot and cold. They had a rough stretch there for a bit, but like you said, it's absolutely the model to go for. While you have those guys, you go for it as long as you can, and they've developed such a strong team culture and just like you said, the word identity is kind of stupid sometimes, but it fits them perfectly, right? Like they,
Mm-hmm.
and also massive shout out for the Geno 1000th game warm up, 12 out of 10. I hope they win the cup because of that, because it was funny. But yeah, Pens middle of the pack. I'm sure they'll make the playoffs, second round exit. Like it's they'll be what they'll be. But gotta respect it. Rangers thoughts.
It's the Rangers. I mean, Panarin, I think, started off pretty slow, but is now playing really well. They've got, again, a fantastic goalie in Igor Shesterkin, but I mean, he's kind of come back down to earth a little bit since his insane year last year.
Someone regressed in hockey. Whoa.
They traded
Dude,
Ryan Reeves to the Wild, which I guess we can mention that. So they're better now. The Rangers, that is. Yeah, I don't know. I think when looking at both conferences, I look at the two teams, or sorry, not the two conferences, the two divisions in the East, and I look at the two teams that are in 4 and 5, and I go, well, it looks like the Metro is going to be the teams I would say that are going to get one, if not both, wild card spots. For context, the teams are the Red Wings and the Panthers on the other side, which we'll get into
LOL.
the Panthers. I can't wait to talk about the Panthers.
We should do 31 teams in the NHL for an episode, and next episode we just talk about the Panthers.
So there's this guy. His name is Paul Maurice.
Anyways,
we'll get there. Okay, so again, the bottom of the Metro, man, the Capitals have really fallen off, and I don't know if it's a case of they have mad injuries, because I think they had like 40 mil on the cap at one point, or on LTIR for a while. I could be wrong on that number, but I remember that they have a lot, because they had like Backstrom, they had who else was out? Oshie was out.
Well, yeah, those two guys alone will eat up almost half of that, right?
I think a good chunk of their D was out. Like, that's a team where not only one, I actually think that they are. This was coming for a while. I don't think that they play well enough defense, and they've floated on their power play success and scoring, and decent goaltending. And now I don't think they're getting as good a goaltending with your boy Darcy Kemper. I think he's been fine this year. He's been fine this year, but he's definitely not the Colorado version of him, because he's not playing behind Colorado anymore. But yeah, like I don't know really what else to say about the Caps. I just hope that Ovi keeps scoring, because that's all I care about when it comes to those guys.
I think you nailed it when you said they fell off. Like, truly, they just.
And
whoops.
I think,
but yeah,
I think that this is the year. This is the year they don't make playoffs, and
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I just don't see it coming all together for them, especially in such a crazy division. Like again, that they're in sixth, and the people ahead of them are the Devils, who are a absolute wagon. The Islanders, the Hurricanes, the Pens, and the Rangers, all teams that you're like, yep, they're gonna make playoffs, and that's five already right there. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and then when it comes to the bottom low, because they stink. But
I honestly, I genuinely, I don't usually pity hockey fans. Like, I'm like, you know what? All of our teams suck. I pity Philadelphia Flyers fans. They have nothing to be excited about right now. They have nothing to be excited about in the future. They're just bad. Like, it's just, they're an underwhelming team.
yeah, they kind of stink. So when it comes to them, like I genuinely do not have anything to say about the Flyers. They are what they are. They're doing they've come back down to earth. They've lost 10 in a row, which, yeah, your face.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yikes.
I didn't know until I looked over at their streak and it says L10. So looks like
Double digits, baby.
yeah, they're 0-7-3 in the last 10, which is more like what they should be versus the version of them at the start of the season. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say about them. Frick the Flyers, who cares? And then just a quick rest in peace to the Columbus Blue Jackets. So sad. So sad, so bad. I wonder how Johnny G's feeling.
Probably like a little bit of a fool.
Yeah.
But listen, there's no way he signed that contract thinking they were going to be good this year. I don't know if he thought they were going to be this bad, but that's a team that needs help everywhere.
I think he thought they'd be better than this for sure. But also, I mean, Patrick Laine has been out injured, but that's, again, every team has injuries, so that's a shitty excuse. I think for them, like I will fully say right now, I am talking out of my ass. I think goaltending hasn't been great for them, and then all in all, they aren't a great team. Zach Werenski is out for the entire season now. This is tough. Like, it's tough to. I'm glad I'm not a Blue Jackets fan. It's tough for Nasher. I'm sure. I'm sure he's crying himself to sleep every night. I'm sure he's not, but you know what I mean. Anyways, the Blue Jackets are who they are. It stinks. I was hoping they'd be better this year. I think I had them in sixth, above the Islanders again, to reiterate. My dumbass takes.
Guys, eh?
I actually do hate the Islanders. I'll be honest. The only player I like is Barzal on that team, and Dobson and Sorokin. Those are the three guys and I don't even like Sorokin. I'm just like, he's good.
Manitoba legend Ryan Pollock, rude.
Wow.
No, but for the Columbus Blue Jackets, like, I don't know, like, I still like watching them, because for those of you who don't know, I consider myself to be like a part-time Columbus Blue Jackets fan, just because of my complex personal history with their team and with their two superstar Patrick Laine and Pierre-Luc Dubois players. Anyways, but like Yegor Chinakhov, Cole Sillinger, Kent Johnson, those guys are all a ton of fun to watch, and so it's like there's some hope in that, but just this team stinks for right now, and it's like that's the be all end all of it. They're gonna finish in the bottom of this division, I swear. They
need center depth. They just need centermen. Like that's really what it is, honestly.
Yeah, they need some help there for sure. Yeah, but so that's the Metro, right? It's and even the teams that are not great, like there's still, I don't know. I just find that the division is a lot of fun, in the sense that there's a lot of movement and there's a lot of, mini rivalries and a lot of, big stakes games and a lot of exciting plays and a lot of good highlights that come from games that exist in the Metro. So big fan of the Metro. Yeah, go Devils, bro.
Go Devils. All right, Adam.
In my Adam Wild era.
All right, over to the Atlantic. Oh my God, the Bruins! Holy shit, 18-3. Every year, everyone's like, "Oh, the Bruins are out of it. The Bruins are out of it. The Bruins are out of it." Absolutely, no, the fuck they are not. They are.
This was the year that I was
wagon.
Like, because they are a wagon. They absolutely are a wagon, and it's the kind of thing where it's like it's giving Pittsburgh Penguins, where it's like, as long as we have our guys, let's just see what we can do. And I do understand the whole concept of an aging core, pardon me, and then when you start to see the results dip a little bit, and it's like, I agree that, I was expecting them to regress a bit, but this was the year. I fully, and I'm showing my ass here, but like I said, yeah, this was the year that they were going to start to fall off, and part of that to me was because of the coaching change, and I thought that was going to have a much more
Yeah.
negative impact on them than it has, and it's almost like it looks like it's been better for them almost, which is so surprising to me because I still almost want to nominate Bruce Cassidy for a Jack Adams this year. Like I don't know what's going on with this Bruins team; they just rock.
Yeah, I don't understand how, yeah, like that was such an interesting thing, because especially with seeing how Cassidy moved over to Vegas and has been like like the Golden Knights are a force. I mean, I think that probably also has to do a lot more with the players they had coming back from injury this year, but Bruce Cassidy is definitely part of that. Like that's absolutely a part of it. And I didn't think this highly of Jim Montgomery. But hey, they are insane. They're an insane team. Allmark is an insane goalie. Swayman has been decent. He started off a little slow, but I mean, they're 18-3. How slow could the goalie have been?
He can't have lost more than 3 games.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's a wagon. That's a team that I'm looking at and going, I wouldn't want to play them in playoffs. And God,
the only thing that would make them better would be if they were to sign Mitchell Miller. I think that would be what would put them over the.
Oh man. Oh, you missed.
I can't believe that.
You missed a great episode. Well, see, while you were gone, I had Mikey Stevens on, and
oh yes,
your man, your love, Mikey Stevens, and
yeah,
he had
could be his second wife, but whatever.
That's the fate he's destined to. He had some really good insight on that, because he also like was in doing like scrums when, because the most insane part of that, we're not going to reiterate the full thing, but the most insane part of that was done on a Friday before the Bruins played the Leafs in Toronto. So like they immediately had the entire media storm on them. And yeah, I would, if you guys missed it, I would highly suggest going to listen to that. It's called the dumbest signing in NHL history. And it's insane.
Oh,
insane. Anyways, let's move on from the Bruins. I guess we should talk about the Leafs.
We always say things like that, but then we still find a way to bring them up in literally every single conversation that we have.
Because they're so relevant to everything. It's
annoying.
Like I don't.
The main
like
character syndrome is just contagious. We cling on to it, and we're like, oh, everyone else thinks they're the main character. I guess we have to think they're the main character. Whatever. I don't know. Mitch Marner, good. Goaltending, fine. I guess considering the circumstances, it hasn't been as detrimental.
So this is the thing. Matt Murray starts the season, doesn't look great, gets injured. Ilya Samsonov comes in, looks really, really good, and was like, oh damn, he's gonna be the starter kind of thing. He gets injured. They flounder around with Shalgren for like, I don't know, a week or two. Matt Murray comes back from his injury. Since then, has looked really, really good. That's all I can really say about the Leafs on the goaltending front. It looks like their bets are kind of starting to pay off a little bit, but when it comes to like the rest of the team, they're not a bad team, so to say, right now. Like they're 14-5-5. They've got 33 points in 24 games. Obviously that they're good. They're second in one of the better divisions in the league. And Austin Matthews still isn't really scoring at a high clip. Like they kind of have a bit of the Jet syndrome that we talk about with like Kyle Connor not scoring, where you're like the team, some of the guys you would expect to be scoring a lot more aren't. But at the same time, like Mitch Marner was on, I don't know if he still is, but was on like a 14-game point streak.
I think he still is. If they played, did they play today? Because he was as of like this afternoon.
I have no idea.
I don't know. I don't care.
Why would I pay attention to anything in this league, especially the Leafs?
Especially if we're gonna, talk on a podcast about it. Why would we pay attention to anything that's going on? Neither of us know. It's World Cup right now, dude. I'm not watching hockey.
Don't even mention. Don't even bring that shit up. We don't have time to talk about the World Cup. Yes, Marner, his point streak is continued. I just checked. He scored tonight. Frick that guy. Anyways, the Leafs stink. They're a good team, but they stink because they're the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't have anything else to say on them. They have a lot
I
of
hope
injuries
they
too.
finish at in some capacity where they're able to lose in 7
I
games to the
want them.
Boston
I
Bruins in
want them
round
to play.
one.
Yeah, I want them to play the Bruins in round one so badly. But that I don't expect them to drop out of the top three. To be honest with you.
Yeah, no, it's hard in that capacity. And the only thing that's worrisome about that is just if you're always taking a gamble, right? Because it's like obviously there's a 98% chance that they lose in 7 games to the Boston Bruins, but that 2% chance that they break the curse and it's against the Boston Bruins means that they will become unstoppable, and that's the last thing I want. So it's really tough. Life is hard, you know.
The only thing I'll say about that though is like it would at least be a good story. It would suck. It would suck so
No,
much.
no, there's no
Okay,
such thing as a good story
no,
where the Toronto Maple Leafs have a
I'm
redemption
just
arc. No.
I don't want them to have a redemption arc, and I don't want their fans to have any more ammunition to be even more annoying. But I can at least say I'm getting a little sick and tired of the same bits that we always do with them, and I just want some new material. Here's the thing. Picture this. Picture this. They go on a run, and they tragically lose. Like just imagine this. They get to the Cup Finals. They go up 4-0 or 3-0 in the series, not 4-0. They go 3-0 in the series, reverse sweep. Just imagine. Imagine like the humor, imagine the vitriol, the like you thought Vancouver in 2011 was bad? Like boy
The
oh
city
boy.
of Toronto, the population will knock down by like 13% because people will just be like out there committing. Who knows? Yeah, no. You know what? Good point. Good point. As long as it ends with them
To be clear, I am not advocating for anyone to commit crimes. I am just saying it would be.
Oh, I am. Arson
It would be a
specifically.
very. It would be a funny story, at least. It would. I'm just saying it would give new life to making fun of Leafs fans.
Yeah, no, I'm tired of hearing 2004, 1967. It is getting a little bit tiring. So you know what? Oh, yeah, okay.
Anyways,
That's
we'll
fair.
move
Whatever.
on. We're already running long. The Lightning. The Lightning are the Lightning. I have nothing to say about them. Do you have anything to say?
They will continue. No, not really.
Perfect.
Anthony
Great.
Cirelli needs to come off because he's taking up an IR spot on my fantasy team. That's it.
RIP. The Red Wings are doing a lot better than expected. They're 11-6-4. They had an insane amount of offseason additions. I don't know how our boy Andrew Kopp is doing, but I wouldn't imagine it's incredible. I think it's probably just the standard Andrew Kopp output. Ville Husso seems to be a lot better than Alex Nedeljkovic, which I wouldn't have bet on, but at the same time, I don't think Husso is that great either. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about the Red Wings. They're doing better than expected under a new coach, and that's good for them. I think they're going to just keep getting better every single year because they've got a lot of good young pieces. I can see next year them becoming a force once again soon. But
Yeah,
I just think it's time they need.
I think it'd be good for hockey for the Red Wings to be good again. So, rooting for them in some capacity. So, yeah.
For sure. And then here we are to talk about the 5th place Florida Panthers.
I need to talk first.
Go off.
I get so frustrated with the whole thing on the internet of he's an NHL GM, he's an NHL coach. I think he knows better than you. Like teams don't lose all the time, like teams don't screw up all the time. We're right. He's not a good coach. Come on.
Okay, and not to relate this completely back to the Jets. Do we think that? I mean, I guess I am going to relate it back to the Jets. Do we think that Rick Bowness is actually a savior, or he's just not Paul Maurice / Dave Lowry?
Not Paul Maurice. He's not a savior. No, he's not. He's just not Paul Maurice.
He's just like
or
a coach.
Product of Paul Maurice's coaching system. Yes.
He's just a coach who like demands good things from his players and like actually coaches them.
And seems like a little bit less stubborn, and I don't even know. Like, yeah, no. It's obviously not about the Jets. I do think we also need to mention that Carter Verhaeghe, probably not a fraud. This guy seems legit. Last year, I was like, what the heck is going on with this dude? And he's like top 15 in the scoring race, I'm pretty sure, right now. Like, legend. Good for him. But reading things from Florida fans, and they're just so befuddled, and they're like, why is this happening? Or like, why is Maurice doing this? I'm like, man, welcome to my life, man. This is 7 years.
I don't want to take the heat off of Maurice because I think it's fun and funny and it feeds perfectly into our agenda. Um,
True.
but but here's the thing. We do also have to acknowledge they did have a pretty decent turnover. They kind of have the same thing with Calgary that Calgary's going through, where you have some new guys,
Yes.
you have some turnover. You do have to kind of figure out the whole, everything else. Um, on defense, like Aaron Ekblad was injured for a decent chunk of the season, or he missed it. I don't know, like I'd say like 10 games, I want to say. And all right, again, losing Mackenzie Weegar in that trade,
Huge blow.
huge blow. So that's really
And like
tough.
you were saying, every team goes through all that turnover, right? Every year. But if you look at some of the teams that have been consistently good, the Tampa Bays, the Bostons, the Pittsburghs, their core, their scoring core is the same, and you can build around that. So when that's the piece that's changing, it takes a lot longer to adjust. So I absolutely have some patience for them in that capacity, because losing Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar is a huge blow. Even if you're getting Matthew Tkachuk, I don't really want to get into that, but like, you're still, it's not like you're not getting pieces in return, but it's just harder to adjust.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when it's like one of your top defensemen go, like that's I think that's an underrated, such an underratedly bad move. Like it was such an interesting trade, but the fact that Mackenzie Weegar had to be part of that, it makes it a really tough look on Florida's end, because especially with the fact that Calgary so quickly got these guys re-signed.
Yes, that's the biggest piece
That's
of that,
the
yeah.
big piece. And so like maybe it just wasn't going to happen um in Florida with re-signing those guys. We don't know, but it definitely does have a bad look, especially with the team underperforming so heavily. And again,
Absolutely.
going back to the Paul Maurice thing, you literally had a coach last year who stepped in once Coach Q got the axe.
Bye.
Bye. Got the axe, and Andrew Brunette came and like took this team to be a President's Trophy team, and like the stuff with Q like happened in like November. So like
Yeah, it was end of October.
Brunette was the coach for like 90% of the year. So it's not like he just stepped in and inherited a team that was already doing really well. I mean, he might have, but like it was still at the start of the season. He had to do most of the legwork of coaching
Yeah,
that team.
absolutely.
And so
For sure.
it makes it look so much worse that they just said piss off to this guy and brought in Paul Maurice, who is the losingest coach in NHL history, which is my favorite stat of all time. I love that so much.
So funny. So funny.
But anyways, they're mediocre. They've got 23 points, 21 games, 10, 8, and 3. Not good enough. And as I was saying before, I think that those two wild card spots, I definitely would see the Penguins and the Rangers both being ahead of the Red Wings and Panthers, even though the Red Wings are ahead of the Penguins and Rangers currently. I don't think that's going to hold out the rest of the year.
Florida Panthers are a mushy middle hockey team being coached by Paul Maurice. No one is surprised by it. It's just there's something slightly redeeming as a hockey fan knowing that you were right, because we were.
Yeah.
And we knew we would be.
We knew we were.
But that's about all. But again, once again, Paul Maurice seems like a really nice guy. Like, I don't actually dislike him as a person.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
just like, you get it.
He just messed with my favorite team, which is my hockey team. That's all. Exactly. Nothing personal. Anyways, let's move on. Last three teams, I think we have to touch on all of them. The Canadiens, Sabres, and Senators. I think they all have at least something I want to bring up on each of them. Canadiens doing better than expected. Cole Caulfield, great. Nick Suzuki, insane. He had that Datsuk flip in that one.
Did he do it twice?
Did you do it twice? I don't know. That's insane. I love that move. It's so funny.
It's a great move.
The Canadiens are a fun team. This is exactly where I would have pegged them at the start of the year, I think. Actually, I had them 8th, but whatever. But this is the area that we would have had them in. And they're
these
better
bottom
than
3 teams are whatever.
Who cares?
No,
yeah,
I agree.
They are they're fun. They're a fun team, which is all you can ask for when you're not great. And they're building towards the future, correct. Which again, I love what Marty St. Louis is doing there. Love the way he's coaching. I don't have anything else to say. Arbor Jacki, cool guy, but as everyone won't shut up about him all year, but rightfully so. He's been one of the better talking points for them. Yeah, I don't know. It's the Canadians. They'd be much better if they had Carey Price still, but unfortunately, that's just not the case. Um, yeah, I think that they have a bright future ahead. I would say.
Yeah, no, and it's again why I feel like I don't know why I keep saying this, but I believe it. It's good for hockey for the Montreal Canadiens to be good. Like they're
No,
exciting, and
it's
I
not.
I
Fuck those
want them to
guys.
be good. See, I don't hate Montreal as much as everyone else does, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because I feel kind of bad for Jake Evans or something. But like, I've never disliked them as much as I've disliked some other like the. A lot of people would group them in with the Oilers and the Leafs as far as media annoying worst. I don't, but
French.
I also understand people who do. French, ooh,
as
I always
we're
forget about
as
that.
we are both French speaking Canadians too.
But
Um,
see,
but
that makes it funnier because then you can make fun of them.
exactly, yeah. Well, fuck, what was I gonna say? Christ, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, like, oh, the reason I don't like the Canadians is because I grew up with friends who were fans who wouldn't shut up about them, and it was just annoying. I just hate the bleu blanc et rouge. Fuck those guys. Okay, the Buffalo Sabres, kind of where we expected them to be. Unfortunately, Eric Comrie has kind of come down from his heater on the start of the year. We all stand by still the fact that the Jets should have kept him. But oh my God, if there is one play, if you had to ask me, you are able to drug test one player in this league, it's absolutely Tage Thompson. What the fuck is this man on? What is this guy doing? Like, I don't understand. This is a guy who like completely defied all of the like analytical crowd stuff. Even with the deal that he signed this year, everyone was dunking on the Sabres because they were like, yeah, I'm sure this guy's going to shoot 20% again, and I don't know what he's shooting right now, but it doesn't matter. He's putting the puck in the net.
He said, "Fuck around and find out." Like,
did you see his goal? I think it was tonight that he had, where he like just backed off of a huge battle in the corner, picked off a pass against the Lightning, and just absolutely deked out the Lightning goal. I think it was Brian Elliott tonight, but either way,
no one needs to know that though.
this guy
The
is
vibes are immaculate with him. He's so like, it's just I wanted to keep going for as long as possible. Like when who was it? Bleacher Report put out like a mock USA Olympic team the other day, and on like Tage Thompson. If you told me like 2 years ago that Tage Thompson would be on a roster and Kyle Connor would be a healthy scratch, I'd be like, excuse me, I still don't think Kyle Connor's a healthy scratch on that roster. But I'm not taking out Tage Thompson for him. Tage Thompson, my number one guy. Bring him in there. Take him in over Austin Matthews. I don't care. Is he a fraud?
no.
Maybe a little. But
No,
point,
he's not. This guy is insane. Like
he might be the real deal.
But the thing is, the goals that you see him score, like it's just him imposing himself on other people and being like, "Oh, I have the reach of like a 7-foot tall man, and my hockey stick is almost 7 feet long too. I can just like dipsy doodle skate through you, use my body, and then as soon as I'm against the goalie, it's just like, okay, I can pull it to this side, and if it's like now 10 feet across from where it was previously, this guy's an animal. And I have to ask you one question. Did the Buffalo Sabres win the Ryan O'Reilly trade? Okay, so I to reiterate real quick, Patrick Berglund, who fucked off immediately, Vladimir Sobotka,
yeah.
who also stuck around for a year and then left, Tage Thompson, and a first-round pick in the 2019 draft and a second-round pick in the 2021 draft. I don't know. I want to look up those picks.
I want to say Rasmus Dahlin.
No. They didn't. They wouldn't have been the first pick.
Oh, that was Buffalo's pick. That was Buffalo's pick. Dummy. Okay.
I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up real quick.
If one of those picks is JJ Peterka, they immediately win. The best German hockey player in the NHL.
Buffalo. There's Dylan Cozens, who they got 7th, but I think that would have been their own pick.
That would have been their own pick, I'm sure. Darlene's 2018, I think.
Buffalo. It was this was the year that they won the cup. They drafted Ryan Johnson, who is a person. Is a person. I don't know. He's playing He's playing in U of Minnesota.
Okay, things aren't looking good for this Ryan O'Reilly.
I can't even tell if he's a forward or he's a D-man. Okay, he's got a decent amount of points for a D-man. Okay, you know what? Maybe he might be good. Who knows? We'll see it. We'll see in a year or
And
two when they
a
sign him to.
2021 second. Ew.
Yeah. Anyways, not the point. But I think on the Tage Thompson front, they might have. Like, I think both teams got what they needed, considering, the Blues got a cup out of it. So I don't think that they're too.
That's all you can ask for.
I don't think they're too upset with what they lost. But man, that's the one thing. I'll look at the Sabres, and they always are kind of where they are. But Alex Tuch's playing well. Jeff Skinner's kind of having a good season, and
He scored tonight, I think.
and oh my God, Tage Thompson. So that's all I have to say
Like-
on the Sabres. Honestly, go off.
And you know what? They are like, I just want to say, like, I'll say it. I wrote it like 6 times in my notes yesterday, and I was like, I refuse to say it on the stream because I won't. Tage Thompson is just a slay. Like, honestly, like, he's slaying right now, and I am more than happy for him to keep going at this pace because it's funny as hell, and I love it. And I hope he ends up finishing in the scoring race, like, above, like, someone who's, like, notably a much better hockey player than him. Like, can you imagine if Tage Thompson finished ahead of, like, Nathan McKinnon in points or something like that? Like, how funny would that be? Like,
that would be sick, if you ask me.
That would be sick.
That'd be sicko mode.
Okay.
And then finally,
And now to finish off this, oh man, the Ottawa Senators just.
okay. One thing I want to say, I am sick and tired of the Ryan Reynolds storyline. Shut the fuck up. I don't care. Are you in agreement with me, or are you not? Like, I feel like
I haven't heard as much of it lately. It got pretty played out pretty quickly, but like.
I think there's still rumblings around it. My main issue with it is it's giving exactly what I hate about hockey culture, other than the obvious really bad stuff. But like it's they kind of have their hockey has its like, it's almost like Winnipeg syndrome, where we like have to kind of overcompensate for how like we like our city. Even though we talk shit about it all the time, but we have to like overcompensate and be like, see, no, like we're the fun sport. And when like fun things happen, we like grasp onto it. And I feel this is giving very much like, hey, celebrity shows that he likes hockey. Let's show him on our social media every single time that he's at a game. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of giving that same thing where it's like,
it is an overcompensation for sure. I feel
Yeah.
like anytime hockey gets a little bit of like mainstream media, like remember when Stephen A. Smith on his show did like a little hockey bit and people wouldn't stop circulating. Like, it's all these things. Like, it does get played out super quickly when there's like a mainstream hockey reference or something. So yeah, no, fair.
My favorite thing from that is just I clipped the one part of that thing. He was just like going through facts about hockey that he was just saying, and the first one he just goes, "The puck is black," and just yells it into the camera. Anyways, that I love Stephen A. Smith. He's such a funny guy. But anyways, back to finish this off. The Senators, they are bad.
Stinky doo doo. Bad.
My only thing I want to say is I think Stützle and Giroux are both having pretty decent seasons, if I remember correctly. But.
And Sanderson is good. Like, I think that's one thing to be excited about too, is every time, the one thing, like, I don't know how it works and I haven't looked enough at their numbers and anything like that, but it seems like every time they bring in one of their younger, highly touted prospects and they actually start to play in the NHL, they do well. Like, they're doing okay. Their team is still bad, and if your team is bad, it means your players probably aren't great. So I don't know what that means exactly, but that's exciting for them at least.
And there was a lot of talk around Sanderson and if he was going to be like good or like as good as as they touted him at, like, they took him at 5th overall, and so that was and I think there were other guys who were available. I think like Jamie Drysdale, for example.
Drysdale is
and
they're looking for a defenseman.
And yeah, so I think Jake Sanderson kind of had the, like, he has maybe not as much of the like analytical stuff, but he's got a good structure, good form. He's a good big guy. So there was a lot of detractors on that, but he does look like an NHL player. He does look like he's good. So that's great for the Senators. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say is that I think the team is progressing in the sense of their young guys are, a year older, a year more experience. I would love for the prospects on my team to continuously progress
Real.
and get more reps in and this and that. But that's for another conversation, which I'm sure we'll dive into on Game Over all the time. But yeah, I don't know. The Senators are what they are. They're stinky poo poo, and yeah, but it is what it is. I don't know really what else to say about them. They're
I mean, that's what happens when you go through division, start at the top and go to the bottom. It's you end with the stinky doo doo, and it is what it is. But I think kind of general consensus is, like I was saying to Brady before we started recording, right? Is that you look at the difference in the standings, or maybe I said this while recording. I don't even know at this point. It's late. But you look at the standings from 3 weeks ago, right, compared to now, and things are starting to regress a little bit more towards your expectations, right? Like things are so skewed at the beginning of the year. I'm pretty sure like a week into the season, the Philadelphia Flyers are the top of the Metro, right? Like, these things always happen and it takes a while for them to even out. But looking at things now, at this American Thanksgiving break where we're saying that this is a pretty good indicator of how things are going to potentially pan out for the rest of the season, like things are starting to look a little bit more like we expected. But then there are obviously the surprises, whether it's top, bottom, middle of the pack and whatnot. But safe to say, I think we're in for some decent hockey for the next couple of months while teams try and solidify their spots.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, I think it is time to wrap it up and for us to both head to bed. It's pretty late over here, but anyways, thank you all for listening and or watching. Next episode we are gonna have a new layout on our YouTube. I unfortunately didn't have time to set up today, but we'll have that ready to go next time. So yeah, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Can't Each Size, myself at NHL Chunky, Lyss at Lyss Hood, LYSSHOUDE. I almost forgot the E. Sorry. But yeah, and check out Game Over. Come in and have a chat with us. We're gonna be, one of us will be live after every single Jets game. Let us know if you have any guests you want us to pull on, and
Definitely.
and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Make sure to subscribe also on our YouTube. Follow our TikTok at Can't You Size. I don't know, if you find us wherever you can, just go looking.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not hard to find.
Like Brady was saying before, we know a lot of people who listen are Jets fans due to the nature of kind of, knowing us and whatnot. So definitely, check out our Game Over streams and, connect with us on any social media that you prefer because we're having a good time over here. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in as always, and we'll catch you on the flippity flop.
Peace out.